In today's video, we are going to be focusing on making this waterfall cardigan with fringe sleeves. So let's get started. First, grab your fabric and hang it across your body and see how long you want it to be. I wanted it to be a little bit into my hip region, and then my sleeves, I wanted it to definitely be very loose. So lay fabric and begin cutting to the length that you wanted for the length of the body. I went ahead and measured out my shoulders, and my measurement was 16 inches. So from that first cut, I'm going to cut out 16 inches. And since I have my tape measure out, I'm going to measure out how long I want my sleeves, and that was around 13 inches as well. Keep that number in handy later. So, like I said, with that first number 16, I'm going to cut out my back piece, and that is going to be on both hemline and top line, 16 inches, and cut it out, and make sure not to have the selvage edge, so cut off the selvage edge as well. You can see here that it only fits across the back of my shoulders and the back behind me. It does not curve, so we're going to have to fix that with the other piece of the fabric. Go ahead and cut off the other side of the selvage edge and then cut that fabric in half. Once you're done cutting that in half, make sure that your fabric is laying the right way, and then you want to cut out a J shape for the sleeve holes. Here you can see I'm draping it across my body, and it now makes a sleeve pattern, and we're just going to sew the top piece about 4 inches and then the side piece all along the same piece onto the back part. So sew those two pieces together onto the back piece, and you should have a vest looking piece now. The vest looks like this. You can stop if you want to. If you want to add sleeves, you can. But in my DIY right now, we are going to go and add in the sleeves. So this is how you make the waterfall top. So I'm going to measure out how much fabric I need for the sleeves. So I took my tape measure and just went around the entire circumference of the sleeve hole that I just made. Mine was 23 inches, so I want to measure out 23 in length on my fabric. So here it is. I have the edge, and I'm going to cut out 23 inches on the vertical line, or with it. So cut it out and then cut that piece in half as well. That way you get both your sleeves. And then cut that piece in half. That way the fabric is laying correctly and going downwards. And here you go, folding it in half and then cutting it in half again. This is now your completed cutout sleeve. And now at the bottom hem, which way the fabric is going downward, the pattern, I'm going to be adding fringe on the inside of the seam before sewing it together and closing it off, turning into a loopy. So pin it together with the fringe in between the bottom hem or bottom seam of the sleeve, and then begin to sew that. Again, adding fringe is optional, but I wanted a little bit of pizzazz with my new cardigan. Make sure to sew the fringe all on the inside and not on the outside of the seam. All the fringe pieces on the outside when you flip it inside out, and make sure to sew the top seam as well. And now you should have a tube that looks like this with your fabric going the correct direction instead of opposite directions. Now sew that onto your vest that you made earlier, matching the top seam to the top seam of the shoulder. Go ahead and pin that in place, and then sew it all together. When you are done adding the sleeves, this is what your finished DIY should look like. Just a quick side note, my fabric does not fray. If your fabric frays, make sure to hem everything, and that way the fabric will come undone. So add that step in if you need to, but my fabric does not. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to make this nice little cardigan shawl. If you like the fringe, let me know in a comment down below, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in another video. Bye!